It had been such a long time since I last saw All Grown Up. And when I subscribed to Paramount on Amazon, I noticed that they had at least the first series. I'm not sure if they've got them all. I was really surprised, though, to see that on IMDb there were 5 seasons listed. I had no idea it lasted for so long. And I thought this was as good a time as any to check it out again and see if it holds up to my memory. And the first thing that I will say is that the theme tune is actually something that I have remembered passionately since I used to watch this. I think probably when it first came out. It aired originally in 2004, and I feel like I was like the perfect age for it. I was 12, maybe teetering on the edge of being slightly too old for it in terms of the target audience. But given that I worshipped Rugrats probably up until 2004 and beyond, I was always going to be interested in this. And I have to say, I rather enjoyed it. I've only seen the first episode, Coup DeVille, and it's directed by Michael Dedalus Kenny. The voice cast is pretty much the same as the Rugrats, which I think was a really important decision. They could have changed their voices and made them sound older, but I think it works. And it sounds weird to say that the baby voices work as well for these preteens, teenagers. I think they're maybe on the cusp of teenage. I think they're preteens on the cusp. And it works. It works very well. And this episode primarily focuses on Phil and Lil and the fact that Lil is fed up of everybody viewing her and Phil as twins and being the twins rather than two individuals with separate identities, which I think is something that, a lot of twins will probably experience. I am not a twin, I don't know that for a fact, but it seems to be a pretty common thing that at some point children will outgrow the novelty of being a twin, I guess, and Lil really wants to be seen as her own person. Phil's not quite at that stage yet. Phil is also very much like the baby version of himself. He loves bodily functions and smells and being silly, and Lil is maturing at a much greater rate, shall we say. Chuckie is still terrifying. We didn't really get much of any of the other characters in this, and I think that that's a good decision, because actually I really want to watch the second episode now to see how they treat Angelica and Soucie and Tommy in more detail. Dill was in this slightly, and Kimmy, I believe, is also in it. So actually, by not including all of the characters in any great depth, it's left me hungry for the next episode. Now, I have to judge this in two ways. Also, it's very well animated, just worth pointing out. Kind of similar style to the Rugrats, so it's not unrecognisable. But I have to judge it in two ways. The first way being, what's it like watching it as a fan of the Rugrats? And the second is, if I had never seen the Rugrats and I watched this, would it be a good show? And I guess I'll start with the second one. The answer to that is yes. Based on this first episode, and what my hazy memory can remember, it deals with very topical issues that people of the characters' ages will face, mostly set in the school environment, very recognisable situations, and because the characters of the Rugrats all have very different personalities anyway, there's going to be that one character that you relate to. So I think it's a very good show from what I remember, in this first episode in particular. Sure, it seems like the problem is limited to just twins, but at the same time, even siblings can all be kind of treated the same way. So I think it's not completely limited. And as a fan of the Rugrats, it's just really good fun. It's a beautiful way of having that nostalgia, but not quite for the babies. It's slightly more grown up and I feel slightly less guilty for watching it than I do if I watch the Rugrats. But honestly, I had a lot of fun with it. It lived up to what I remembered. I'm probably going to watch the next episode, I think. Coup DeVille. If you've never seen All Grown Up and you're a fan of the Rugrats, I thoroughly recommend this episode as a starting point. I think it's very good, it's very effective, very engaging, and as I said, ultimately, it's left me wanting more.